Well, the worst part is that we expected it, that it's a logical consequence of a season as grim as this one. Welcome, Madridistas. How are you all? I imagine that you're as upset as I am on one of the worst nights we remember, and there will be some who aren't, in the sense that since already we were expecting the worst, as you could already see it coming. I confess something to you. I haven't suffered as much as on other occasions, meaning I haven't gotten as mad as on other occasions. It's not pleasant to see. It's not pleasant to see Madrid being thrashed, but I don't know. I reacted a bit differently because the worst part is that we expected it. Do you know how much less Madrid ran than Arsenal? 12 kilometers less than Arsenal. Of course, you say, you expect it. It's all a logical consequence. You come from being bad, you get worse, no? But there's something called pride. Hey, team together. Yes, a little in the first part, but in the end, I mean, the tactic was to hold for a counter-attack, so Vini and Mbappe up front solve it for us. That's this guy's tactic. Of Ancelotti, it takes a lot of skill, but a lot of skill to make this team play so poorly. And in the second stint of Ancelotti at Real Madrid, although we have had very good moments, all or most of the important matches have been, well, with grand comebacks heroically. Madrid hasn't been a dominant team for a long time. Last year we lost very little, but because there were players in key positions that are not here this year, this has to be said, because of course the owner of the club is not going to get away here, huh? Florentino, for not having signed precisely in those key positions. That's why there is a part of the from the assessment I make where I somewhat excuse Ancelotti a little. Even so, I am telling you about the right back, the missing central, the missing center midfielder, and the other one, well, he doesn't sign, right? But, and as we have already said in a previous video, Ancelotti, you bear a large part of the blame. In the end, what do you convey in the press conference? That you agree with what they tell you from above, and you are a spokesperson for the club. Well, let's see if out of decency tonight this man says he's leaving and becomes a spokesperson. Great. He would be a great spokesperson, right? But he should leave the controls to someone else, because unfortunately, this project is completely finished. Having said all that, if there's a team capable of pulling off the crazy feat of making a 3-goal comeback at the Bernabeu, it's Madrid. But you know what? And I will be the first to cheer next week. But it's so complicated because the superiority of the well-organized teams of Real Madrid is so great that you say, how do you handle them? How? In the Copa final against Barca, how do you get to Barca, to this team next week? How? Unless you reach a point in the match with 0-0, a 1-1 draw and such, and in the end, you get a stroke of luck. These teams, huh? These teams that are going to compete for the titles. Others, yes. Well, we've seen this year, right? Well, yes, you have won matches and such. Well, against all the rubbish that's in the Spanish league, the other day you lost to a champion of the rubbish, which is Valencia. Well, of course, things were getting worse. You play how you train, and yesterday in training there were giggles there in the session, and you say, of course, here there is a serious lack of tension, of work, absolutely alarming, as we have said more than once. And if we focus beyond the coach, who I insist he has to be out or should be out already. They are not going to fire him. He is not going to leave because he says he will never leave Madrid until they fire him, and Madrid is not going to fire him now. It is a complicated season because then there is a Club World Cup that ends in mid-July. I say this because looking for another coach is going to be difficult. But apart from that, and that he has not taken charge of the team at any moment, and that in press conferences he has used words that we all, or any coach in the world, would agree with. Like, listen, we need a compact team, close together, defensive commitment, balance. He mentions balance a lot. If you say it a lot, but they don't listen to you at all, it is not only the players' problem, which it is, and we'll get to them, but mainly it is your problem that as a coach you don't know how to convey that to these people so they listen to you. And it has happened in these last years on more than one occasion, but then they listened to you, and you had a very good stretch of the season that usually coincided with spring. That is now when the titles are decided, because Madrid has had good moments and downturns, even in very good years, in those in which so many things have been achieved. But then there was a consistency, a turning point, a sense of pride from the players. Hey, it has all been a disaster, but everything, absolutely everything. And someone might be thinking, no, the game was in that action where Mbappe shot the dummy at Raya, Arsenal's goalkeeper. And yes, maybe if we scored there, we would leave here, leave London alive, right? And I'm convinced they would have tied us and they would have won the match. But, well, you have a goal. Maybe you don't get thrashed and stay alive for the return. But it has also been a trend throughout the season. Apart from the goals he has scored, which have been many, the dummy attempts have been a trend. Unfortunately, how many goals could he have scored at Madrid? Offensively, it is a team that plays with absolute improvisation. Now imagine with a coach who would have hit upon 4 key points and put together 4 things better than Ancelotti. Damn, we would be much better off than we are, because I insist it is much more difficult to play very badly with this squad than to play well. Much more difficult. Vinicius has not done anything right. And I have been defending Vinicius and will continue to defend him, because he is a guy who the other day turned around the cup match, turned around a lot of games. He is a guy who doesn't stop trying. Rodrigo hasn't been aware of the situation at any point. He was practically absent. The start of the game was more or less good, because in the first half, I'm seeing some data here. Madrid had 45% possession, 10% less than Arsenal. You think, well, okay, it's a team that likes to have the ball. They're at home, fine, acceptable. Shots on target, 4 by Arsenal, 2 by Real Madrid. Shots off target, 0 by Arsenal, 3 by Real Madrid. And, well, and you reach the area 11-6. It's true that Arsenal had arrived many more times, almost double, but you were somewhat holding up within what a Madrid fan thinks can never be. Well, surviving, holding on, enduring, this cannot be. But given how the team was, you say, come on, fine, I'll let it slide. But the second half, no. There was no shot on goal or outside, or not a single shot on or off target from Real Madrid in the second half. A dismal second half. And Alaba, who, forgive me, the Austrian, had some somewhat good moments in the match, but he is a former player. Camavinga, who had some good moments of stealing the ball, but went from more to much less, and in the end got himself sent off. He was not going to play the second leg because he was already warned and received a yellow card, but then a red card with 30 seconds left of the match for kicking the ball away. A thing of a brutal disconnection of the players with this business that is alarming. It is alarming. The best player for Real Madrid has been Courtois, and they scored 3 on him because he made a triple save, double save, and Alaba cleared the other one. Look, one of the good things Alaba has had, but you already understand when I say, and I don't want to go hard on the Austrian, because in the end he's a victim of all this, because he's been injured, because he spent 13 months to come back here. And the blame is not on Alaba, the blame is on the one above who says, no, I won't sign because Alaba, even if it takes him 13 months to recover, come on, he has to start playing. Come on, don't mess with me, don't mess with me. And for that, you wear out Militao, burden him with matches, and then you wear him out, right? And the same with Lucas as the right back, where today you have to improvise. Not improvise because he had already tried it on some occasion with Fede Valverde, but because you don't have a reliable right back, and then you lose a great midfielder like Fede, leaving the team absolutely disorganized. Very unbalanced, and that's Ancelotti's fault, isn't it? But it's mainly the fault of the one at the top, and hopefully he'll finally learn the lesson, and the loyalists won't come here to call us piperos or any nonsense. You need to sign or do something different from what you have been doing. Yes, Alexander-Arnold, very well, but it's not just in good management of the squad. Is done by organizing a squad well, by signing very good players from time to time, and the rest. Well, let's see if the coach manages. No, damn, because then you have these black holes like on the right side of Madrid, and of course it's been all one thing has led to another and has caused the mess we have. By the way, Rice, who is a great player from the Rice clan, once tweeted years ago that he was a Madrid fan, scored 2 amazing free kick goals, the second one incredible, the first very good, clearing the wall. I thought the wall was poorly placed, but then you see that the curve is incredible. Race. And these are the first 2 free kick goals he has scored in his career. He has scored 34 goals with today's 2, had scored 32 goals and never from a free kick. Today, look at how he did it. These people had a score to settle. They had, not especially with Madrid, because Madrid, tell me, the last and only time we had played with them in the Champions League in Europe, they had beaten us, Henry's Arsenal in 2006. No, these people want to win. They have a hunger to win, and they showed it today. Totally the opposite of Real Madrid. It was incredible, really. It's something. And about Ancelotti's changes, I'm remembering things that I have noted down here. He can bring Ibrahim on to change things in the 84th minute. What the hell is Ibrahim going to change in the 84th minute? And he doesn't even put Endrick in, despite the little game the 2 up front have played. The 3 of them. He doesn't put Hendrick. Not a single minute. The other day I heard a statistic. Endrick has played less than this midfielder from Barca who gets injured at the start of the season. Endrick has played less in the league than that Barca player who gets injured at the start of the season. Guller, I think, has played less in the league than Militao, who got injured at the start of the league. There are numbers of players that you should use more because they are young, have energy, and are there to contribute. That they are tremendous, and they leave Ancelotti in a very compromised position that he has already lost control and direction of this team. Absolutely. And well, now the big talk will be about a comeback, a historic night, the Busiana, all this with 2-0. I saw it. Salvageable, but with 3-0, Arsenal is not going to play at the Bernabeu. Arsenal, which is a team, boy, you've seen it, what kind of team it is, organized, fine, the ball, and so on. The set pieces, maybe they do something quirky in the corners where they all go backwards and so on, but it is organized, there is work there, At the Bernabeu, they're all going to come down because let's see if Madrid scores 5 on us, but who does Madrid score 5 against now? Maybe then I'll have to eat my words, but tonight I don't see it. I don't see it at all. So, we'll return in the next one with an analysis. I don't know if much calmer because the anger will last me. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel, please. Comment, share, and comment what you think. For me, it is a Ancelotti tonight should leave to do us a favor, and Florentino should get going to start thinking about, that project the next season already with a new tenant on the bench. There's a play I forgot, which is the 3rd goal, the one by Mikel Merino. They were all watching. In the previous action, the one with the 2 saves by Courtois, they nutmegged Kabenga inside the box, but with such laziness on the part of all the players, watching the plays, watching the ball as it was passed from one to another. That's how they ran 12 kilometers less. This is completely unacceptable. Players, coach, and president, to set up this total chaos they've created this year, watch out, alert in everything until proven otherwise. But I think that practically dead, struggling. Hope everything goes well for you. All right, see you later. Bye.